Here's the thing. Nobody tells you when you buy a car. The dealership hands you a key, shakes your hand, and sends you out into the world with roughly zero practical knowledge about the machine you just spent $20 or $30,000 on. And the stuff that would actually make your life easier, the little tricks and shortcuts that experienced drivers and mechanics pick up over years, nobody writes that down anywhere. Today, I'm fixing that. These are the hacks that actually work, that cost almost nothing, and that you'll find yourself using on a Tuesday morning in a parking lot, wondering how you ever lived without them. One honest thing before we start. The word hack gets thrown around so loosely online that it's basically lost all meaning. Half the so-called car hacks on the internet are either dangerous, useless, or filmed by someone who's clearly never changed a tire in their life. Everything in this video is something that works in the real world. I'll tell you why each one works. Not just that it does, because understanding the reason is what lets you actually trust it. And where something has a limit or a catch, I'll tell you that too. No fluff. Let's get into it. Number 10, the arrow on your fuel gauge that almost everyone ignores. This one is technically the simplest thing on the list. And yet, based on the number of people I've personally watched stand on the wrong side of a gas pump, looking confused, it is clearly not common knowledge. So here it is. On your fuel gauge, right next to the little pump icon, there is a small arrow or triangle. That arrow points to the side of the car where your fuel cap lives. Left arrow, caps on the left. Right arrow, caps on the right. That's it. That's the whole hack. Now, I know what you're thinking. I know which side my fuel cap is on. And yeah, you do. But here's when this saves you. You're driving a rental car in an unfamiliar city. You're jet lagged, you're late, and you pull into a gas station and suddenly have absolutely no idea which side to pull up on. Every rental car has this arrow. Every modern car has this arrow. It's been a standard feature since roughly 1980, and somehow a meaningful percentage of the population has never noticed it. There's a second bonus to knowing this. When you're parking at a busy gas station, you can line up correctly on the first try, which, if you've ever watched someone do a full 3-point turn between pumps because they pulled up on the wrong side, you know, is a public service to everyone around you. Check yours right now. Arrow on the gauge, side of the cap, file it away. Number 9, how to tell if your steering wheel is actually centered. This one sounds obscure until the day you need it, and then it feels like someone handed you a superpower. Here's the situation. You hit a bad pothole, or you clip a curb, or you just notice over time that your car seems to drift slightly in one direction on a flat road. You want to know if your alignment is genuinely off or if something else is going on. And hence specifically, you want to know if your steering wheel is sitting straight or if it's rotated a few degrees off center without you realizing it. Here's how you check it for free in your own driveway. Find a flat, empty stretch of road or a quiet parking lot. Drive slowly in a straight line. Let go of the wheel for just a moment and watch what the car does. If it tracks straight, your alignment is likely fine. But if it pulls consistently to one side, that's a real alignment issue, and a shop trip is in your future. But here's the part people miss. While you're driving straight, look at your steering wheel spokes. They should be perfectly symmetrical, horizontally level. If the wheel is rotated even slightly clockwise or counterclockwise while you're going dead straight, your wheel is off center. That's almost always caused by an alignment correction that wasn't finished properly, and it's something a shop can fix quickly. Knowing this going in means you can tell the mechanic exactly what's wrong instead of just saying it feels funny, which, no offense, is the least useful sentence you can say to someone who fixes cars for a living. Number 8, the garage parking trick that costs about $2. If you park in a garage where the clearance is tight, where you need to stop at exactly the right spot to close the door without clipping your bumper on the wall, this one is going to feel almost embarrassingly clever. And the materials involved are a tennis ball and a piece of string. That's it. I'm not making this up. Here's how it works. With your car parked in exactly the right position, the position where everything clears and the door closes cleanly, hang a tennis ball on a string from the ceiling so it just touches your windshield, right in your sight line. Every time you pull in after that, you stop when the ball touches the glass. Same spot, every single time. No more creeping forward and hoping for the best. No more that horrible scraping sound followed by a very long silence. Now, I'll be honest, this is not a new idea. People have been doing this since roughly the 1970s. But I include it because an astonishing number of people have never heard of it, and because the number of garage-related bumper scrapes that happen every single year is, frankly, embarrassing for our species. You can also do a variation of this with a bright piece of tape on the floor as a tire stop line. But the hanging ball method works better for taller vehicles like trucks and SUVs where a floor line can be hard to see from the driver's seat. $2, 5 minutes to set up, 0 scraped bumpers from that day forward. Number 7, using your body to extend your key fob range. This one sounds like something a bored engineer came up with at 2 in the morning. Man, honestly, it might be. But it works, and there's real science behind it. Here's the situation. Your key fob is losing battery, or you're in a large parking lot, and you're not quite close enough to the car to get a signal. Instead of walking closer and clicking repeatedly like you're trying to summon the car through sheer willpower, try this. Hold the fob against your chin and click. Or, better yet, press it to your temple and click. Your body, specifically the fluid in your skull and your torso, acts as an antenna and extends the fob's broadcast range by a surprisingly meaningful amount. People who have tried this report being able to unlock their car from roughly double their normal range. There are automotive engineers who've confirmed this on record. It's not magic, it's basic physics. Your body is mostly water, and water conducts radio frequency signals, effectively amplifying the fob's output. Will this save your life? No. Will it save you a 30-second walk across a parking lot in the pouring rain? Absolutely. And sometimes that's enough. Try it once, and you'll do it for the rest of your life. Number 6. Bug spray on foggy headlights as a temporary fix. Before the messages start coming in, let me be very clear about the word temporary, because that word is doing a lot of heavy lifting in this section. This is not a long-term restoration. I've already done a full video on the proper way to restore headlights properly with wet sanding, UV coating, the works, and that's the method that actually lasts. But if your headlights are yellowed and foggy right now and you need them clearer tonight and you have absolutely no time or supplies to do it properly, this will buy you some time. Bug spray, specifically the kind containing DT, chemically interacts with the oxidized polycarbonate on the surface of your headlight lens. DEET is a mild solvent. It temporarily dissolves the hazy top layer of dead oxidized plastic, making the lens look noticeably clearer for a period of days to a few weeks. Spray a little on a cloth, wipe it across the lens, buff it lightly, and you'll see an immediate visual improvement. Here's the honest catch, and it's an important one. DT is also a mild solvent for the protective coating underneath. So you're essentially doing a very aggressive version of what the cheap internet hacks do, clearing the haze by removing the protection. Used once in a genuine pinch, it's fine. Used repeatedly as an actual solution, you'll accelerate the degradation of the lens and end up worse off faster. Use it. But book the proper restoration for the weekend. Don't let one work as an excuse to skip the other. Number 5. How to unstick a jam seatbelt. Seatbelts have a locking mechanism built into them on purpose. It's called an inertia lock, and it's what stops the belt from feeding out freely during a crash or a sudden stop. The problem is that this same mechanism can trigger in everyday situations, usually when the belt gets pulled out too fast, or at a sharp angle, or when the car is parked on a significant slope. The belt locks up, won't retract, and you're left yanking on it like you're trying to start a lawnmower, which accomplishes nothing except making you look frustrated in a parking lot. Here's the fix. Stop pulling. Seriously stop. Every time you yank a locked seatbelt, you're reinforcing the lock. Let the belt retract fully back into the housing. All the way. Don't hold on to it. Just let it go. Then, slowly and smoothly, pull it back out with a gentle, controlled motion. No jerking, no fast tugs. The inertia lock resets when the belt is fully retracted and then pulled out slowly because the mechanism reads the speed of extraction. Fast pull, lock engages. Slow pull, it doesn't. If the belt locks and won't retract at all, the car might be parked on too steep a slope for the pendulum-based inertia sensor to sit at rest. Move the car to flatter ground and try again. 9 times out of 10, that's the whole problem. The 10th time, the mechanism itself is worn, and that is genuinely a mechanic job, because seatbelts are not something to experiment on. But try the slow pull and the flat ground first. Number 4, protecting your windshield wipers from ice overnight. Here is the thing that happens to people in cold climates, and it happens so consistently and so predictably that I find it almost poetic. It snows or freezes overnight. You walk out to your car in the morning, late, cold, already unhappy with the world. You turn the wipers on out of habit before clearing the car. The wipers, which have been frozen solid against the glass all night, attempt to move. The motor strains. You hear a sound that suggests something has either snapped or given up the will to live. And now you have a broken wiper arm or a burned out wiper motor. And your morning has taken a dramatic turn for the worse. The fix is almost offensively simple. Before a freeze, lift your wipers up off the glass. Just fold them up so they stand away from the windshield. No ice contact, no ice bond, no drama in the morning. You can also slip an old plastic bag or a purpose-made wiper cover over each blade to protect the rubber from cracking in extreme cold, which extends their life meaningfully. And here's the version of this that almost nobody thinks of. If you forgot to lift the wipers and they are frozen down, do not run them. Turn on the defroster, let the glass warm up from the inside, and wait until the ice bond has softened before you attempt to move the blades. 2 minutes of patience beats a $40 wiper motor every time. Number 3, the coin test that tells you exactly when your tires are dangerous. Here's an uncomfortable truth. Most drivers have absolutely no idea how worn their tires actually are. They look at them occasionally, think they look fine, and move on. And tires are the single component of your car that affects absolutely everything. Stopping distance, cornering grip, wet weather handling, blowout risk, everything. And they degrade so gradually that you genuinely can't judge them by eye without a reference point. Here's the reference point: a coin. In the United States, a penny works. In the UK, a 20 pence piece. In Australia, a 20-cent coin. The principle is the same everywhere. Take your coin and insert it into the tread groove with the top of the head or the figure facing downward into the tire. If the top of the head is fully visible, if none of the tread covers it at all, your tire is legally and practically worn out and needs replacing immediately, not this month, now. The reason this matters is that tread depth is not just a legal technicality. At minimum legal tread depth, your wet weather stopping distance is dramatically longer than a tire with a healthy tread. We're talking the difference of multiple car lengths of stopping distance at highway speed. That gap is what separates a close call from an accident. Check all 4 tires and check them in multiple spots across the width of the tread, because tires wear unevenly. An inside edge can be dangerously low while the center still looks acceptable. And check them cold, not right after a long drive, for the most accurate reading. Do this once a month. It takes 2 minutes, and the coin is already in your pocket. Number 2, getting rid of that musty smell from your AC vents. Almost every car develops this eventually. You turn the air conditioning on for the first time after winter, or after a period of not using it, and the cabin fills with a smell that is best described as damp basement mixed with regret. What you're smelling is mold and mildew growing inside your evaporator, the cold component inside your dashboard that the air blows across to cool it down. The evaporator runs cold. It collects condensation, and in a dark, warm, damp environment, mold grows. Because of course it does. There are 2 parts to fixing this properly. The first is your cabin air filter, which is the most commonly neglected filter on any car. If it's clogged and damp, it's both restricting your airflow and feeding the mold problem. On most cars, you can replace it yourself in under 5 minutes. Pop the glove box, find the filter housing behind it, slide the old one out, hold it up to the light. If it looks like something you found behind a washing machine, that's your problem right there, and you're welcome. The second part addresses the evaporator itself. Here's a trick that genuinely works. With the engine running and the fan on high, find the fresh air intake at the base of your windshield and spray an automotive AC cleaner or a purpose-made evaporator cleaner directly into it. The fan will pull the cleaner across the evaporator coils, killing the mold at the source. Let the system run with the AC off, but the fan on for 10 minutes afterward to dry everything out. And here's the habit that prevents it from coming back. For the last 2 minutes of every drive, turn the AC off, but leave the fan running on fresh air. This dries the evaporator before you park, which removes the damp environment the mold needs to live. Free habit, no more swamp smell. You're welcome. Number 1, the penny maintenance tracker that costs literally 1 cent. Every other habit on this list saves you money or time in the moment. This one is different. This one is the habit that protects you from the single most expensive category of car repair there is, the repair you could have avoided if you'd caught it 2 months earlier. I spent an entire other video talking about keeping a logbook, and I stand by everything I said there. But I want to give you a companion to that, something physical and tactile that requires zero willpower to maintain. Here's the system. Get a handful of pennies. Every time you change your oil or do any significant service, put 1 penny in a small container in your center console, date side up. Give it a light scratch with a key so you know it marks that specific service. Your oil change, your tire rotation, your brake fluid flush. Each one gets a penny. Each penny has a date scratched onto it. It sounds ridiculous. I know it sounds ridiculous, but here's what it does. Every time you open that console, you see those pennies. They're physical, they're visible, they're real in a way that a mental note or a vague intention to check the app is not. You can count them. You can read the dates, at a glance when you last serviced the car and roughly how long it's been. It's the lowest friction version of accountability I know of for car maintenance, and low friction is the whole game when it comes to habits that actually stick. Pair it with a proper written logbook, and you've got both the quick visible reminder and a detailed record. Together, they're worth more than any single product you could buy for your car, because catching a problem at a service interval instead of on the side of a highway is the difference between a $200 repair and a $2,000 one. The habits that keep cars alive aren't complicated. They never were. It's mostly just paying attention, catching the small things, and not waiting until something is loud and expensive before you act. So there they are, a full lineup of hacks that actually work in the real world on real cars, on real Tuesday mornings. No magic products, no snake oil, just an arrow on a gauge, a tennis ball on a string, a coin in the tread, and a handful of pennies in your console. Almost none of it costs anything. All of it works. If even one of these saves you a repair bill or a frustrating morning, do me a favor and subscribe and drop in the comments which one you're trying first. I genuinely want to know. And don't miss the next one. The fluid change mistakes that quietly destroy engines, including the one almost everyone gets wrong about mixing and topping off. You'll want to see that before your next service.